To provide a little bit of context, inside the book, I divide work into two categories, which I think we should all start thinking about work in. One is idea work, anything involved with coming up with new ideas for new products and services and bringing them to life. And the other is execution work. It's anything that's involved in supporting those products once they're up and running. And what the tech giants do well is they use technology, and technology is a huge part of their story when it comes to looking at the way they work internally. They use technology to minimize the time that employees spent on execution work and maximize the time they spend working on idea work. And as an employee, this is hard. And I spoke to a number of employees who were like, yeah, the thing I was incentivized to do got automated. Now I'm being disincentivized to do it. And in some cases, not allowed to do it. And I think that it is definitely going to be the nature of work moving forward, which is that you're not just going to do one thing through your career. I mean, I guess it's been said so often, it's cliche at this point. So it's definitely a workplace where the most successful companies, their employees appreciate the challenge, they learn new skills, they're okay with seeing parts of their jobs automated and getting put on new things. But the cool part is, if you think about the Maslow hierarchy of needs, right, at the very top of that thing, so this is all the different ways that people get satisfaction in life. Like the bottom of that pyramid is, just sustaining yourself, like being able to eat and sleep. And the top is self-actualization. And, that's sort of being able to take your human potential and unlock it through invention. And that's what they get to do. When you have technology that's minimizing execution work, making room for idea work, your employees get to live on the top of that pyramid. They spend their time, working on coming up with new things versus showing up for the bottom of that pyramid, get the paycheck, buy the bread. And so I think that could be pretty cool. It's not going to be something that the whole workplace is going to be able to, quickly embrace, because we have so many of our norms baked in so strongly. A lot of people like to show up to the office and do the same bullshit work every day, and that's fine. But yeah, I think that once we cycle through this and people realize that this is the way that the workplace works right now, it can be pretty exciting. And I think that the challenge can be invigorating and take people who would just clock in and clock out, maybe give them something more exciting to work towards. Because after all, we do spend a lot of our lives, in the workplace. So might as well have fun. If you look at companies that are making tons of profit, that does not mean that they're well positioned for the future. Microsoft was a cash printing machine in the Windows days. But then what happened? A change came. We went from a desktop computing world to a mobile and cloud computing world. And Microsoft, which had milked Windows so extremely, we can come to this afterwards, which had made all that money under Ballmer, all of a sudden was sitting and basically selling a desktop operating system in a world where it was almost irrelevant. And sort of looked around and said, what do we do now? And it took Satya Nadella to come in and fix that. With Apple, Apple's making a ton of profits right now. And I would say Windows, in Microsoft's case, is akin to the iPhone in Apple's case. Apple has its asset. It has the phone, and it's working to milk that asset by increasing services revenue. Like how many of your listeners have gone from just buying the iPhone to now seeing a monthly charge, on the credit card for storage. You look at that, you look at TV Plus, you look at News Plus, you look at the App Store, look at how they're trying to milk Fortnite for that 30%, despite what value do they really add? Okay, payments, that's it. And Fortnite's even we don't want to use your payment system. And Apple's like, no, you have to. It's all about milking that iPhone asset. And so I think instead of a culture of invention, Apple is right now a culture of refinement, right? It wants to make those phones faster and better and make sure that they remain in the leader position in the phone market so that it can continue to milk that asset. And its culture has been really good at that. You have to, when you make these decisions, you orient your culture towards one or the other. And they've oriented towards asset milk, refine. And it comes at the expense of building for the future state and inventing. And it's not, crazy to think that we're going to become less reliant on screens and more reliant on voice computing at some point in the future. We already see what's happening with Google and Amazon, seeing some success there, and the AI is terrible. So imagine that AI gets a little bit better. We're going to start doing more of our computing through these assistants. And Apple was so focused on the iPhone, it made its assistant Siri, it looked at it as a feature for the iPhone. Let's make it this fun, playful thing that's not very useful, but you might enjoy talking to, so we can sell more iPhones. Meanwhile, Google and Amazon were like, this isn't the next platform in computing. We don't want to make it just fun. We want to make it useful. And that's why their devices, and that's why their assistants are doing so much better. And the same pattern can be seen throughout Apple when it comes to things like building a self-driving car and other projects. So to me, the profits that we're seeing inside Apple, again, they don't guarantee future success. And I give them credit. They've done a great job getting this process down to a T and making a ton of money off of their asset right now, probably better than any company in history. But then you think, what does this portend for the long run? And I think that Apple needs a culture change if it's going to remain competitive.